Hello Internet, it is Alex from Barefaced here, with Lewie from Barefaced.
What's up?
And we have 4 cabs here. Now yesterday we were totally competent. I managed to attempt to make this video 3 times and got repeatedly confused, but we have learnt things. And we're going to get less confused this time.
Yeah.
What we have here is an Uprising 212V with vintage 30s in it. 2 vintage 30s, so our stock drivers. Great sounding, super versatile, very loud cab, also amusingly light. Next to it, we have 3 more Uprisings. All of these have vintage 30s in the bottom and different speakers in the top. When we were making this video yesterday, it all started because someone has ordered a cab with a vintage 30 in the top and a Redback in the bottom. So we started demoing to see what they sounded like. What Lewie and I found is that if you've got the vintage 30 at the top, it sounds more like the vintage 30 than it sounds like the other driver.
Yeah.
Because essentially it's closer to your ears. You know, it's not rocket science.
No.
So if you're thinking about this mixed driver approach of having 2 different drivers, basically the top driver is going to dominate the treble more than anything, the mid-range, a lot of the tone.
Yeah, mid-range to treble.
Yeah, the bottom driver will fill things out. If the bottom driver's got a lot more bottom end, I think you'll hear more of that
sense.
in theory. It's definitely going to, if it's got warmth or dirt or stuff, that's going to come through. But basically, your top driver is the one you'll hear the most of. So if you love the V30 but just want to change it a bit, stick a different driver in the bottom. If you want to change it more, but you still want that V30 kind of clarity punch thing that it has, then you can put the V30 on the top or whatever. But anyway, you see, I'm confusing myself already.
There's a lot of different drivers.
The other thing we learned was that if we were to make a video where we just keep switching between things and you listen, that's all well and good. But if we're playing and talking and listening and thinking, it seems to melt our brains to compare more than 3 at a time.
Yeah.
This is kind of node and interconnection theory. I've realised where if you've got 2 things, there's only 1 comparison. You've got 3 things, you've got 3 comparisons. If you've got 4 things, you've got 6 comparisons. And if you've got 5 things, well, draw a pentagon of dots and join them together with lines, and you'll see how many there are. Yeah, it gets quite difficult. So we will let you hear the vintage 30, dual vintage 30s, as a reference point, and then we'll listen to these other 3, and we'll go between these 3, and we're not going to go back to that one because it hurts our brain. But you can rewind if you want. We can't rewind because we're in real life.
Living.
And I've got my switching box out here now so I can hear it more clearly.
Yeah, so this is just, it's the reference, isn't it? It's the standard, the start.
Yeah, so we've got, this is a Sire Larry Carlton Les Paul thing that we've had for about 4 days.
Yeah.
Lot of guitar for the money.
Yeah, it's good. Feels nice.
Hopefully it'll stay in tune. That was the only niggle we've had so far, but it's cold in here.
It's really cold, yeah. Apologies in advance for that.
Yeah, so if Lewie has a fumble, it's probably because his fingers can't work at this temperature.
Let's go with that. Alright, Uprising with TV30s.
Oh, look, I've got a thing.
Like planks from Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'm hearing loads of difference from yesterday already, from them being on top.
Yeah, it does make a big difference actually.
It really does.
It's quite hard to, particularly when you're making a video and not in the music and a contextual thing, to really get into what's happening when you've just got the flavour coming from the bottom speaker. But when when it's the top speaker, it really does dominate.
It's a massive difference. Like that was the M65 Creamback at the end. Yeah.
Yes.
So much warmer.
It is, isn't it?
So much warmer, and I think it was is it the 150 Redback that's got the bite to it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really. You just want to play different. Like
yeah, that feels rocking.
Almost metally to
me.
Yeah,
that absolutely.
Thinner
that's
than I
hard,
usually go
hard,
for.
Yeah. And then that's warmer, and then that splits the difference.
Chuck that one back on. Because that's the 75, yeah.
So that's the 75.
Is that what's on now?
I like this. This saves us having to do editing afterwards and sticking things on. We've got bits of wood.
So this is.
Yeah, there we are. So this is the Creamback H75.
Right. That's lovely.
It's nice, isn't it?
Go to number 1 quickly, which is the 65 Creamback. 65. Yeah? That's the kind of, I'm kind of like, you're going to struggle if you've got another guitarist and a bassist, if you've got that much going on the low end, but maybe in a trio thing it'd be amazing.
Right.
Because it's so heavy, it's got so much mid and
it doesn't have it anywhere near the top end, does it?
No. Oh, no. That's it, even in a trio, are you going to cut through?
I think it would.
That's an interesting driver. That felt really nice.
It's really nice, isn't it? It's more bluesy.
Maybe that's
more old school.
Maybe that's what it needed. Go between these two now with a bit more lead.
So you want to go to the H?
Yeah, the 75.
I am hearing more top end from that.
Yeah, loads.
It's cleaner. There's more. That feels like it's making the sound cleaner, and that feels like it's letting you hear the little subtle bits of overdrive in the top end, but they're not happening as high up. It's like it's got more more honesty. It's letting more of the dirt through. That's almost smoothing
Cleaning
off the dirt, but it's going higher.
Yep.
And then that one, these two, I think, sound a lot more similar on lead tones than they sound on rhythm tones.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, it's really different. That was really nice to play lead, but I didn't enjoy it with the riffs. But as soon as it was lead, it was like, okay, there it is.
But that is definitely a thing. If you look at there's the one I don't think we've demoed, the classic lead 80.
Right.
If you look at some of the more lead guitar oriented speakers, they've not got a lot of top end.
Right. Okay.
So they are more mellow in the highs because they make it sing like a violin.
Of course.
They do that smoothed out thing.
Okay.
They're less bitey.
Should we Strat?
Yes.
Let's Strat.
This is really interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm finding interesting is when you're hearing just two, you can have a thought, and then you hear a third, and you think, okay, there's another thought, and then you get confused quite rapidly. So yeah, 3 at a time seems to be a good one if you're actually talking about it.
3's doable. Yeah. I can comprehend
yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd like to hear the Vintage 30, just rewind to the start. We can put a time code thing in there. We can be bothered to do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's about our level of editing effort. So This is an American Strat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is it stock?
No, it's got 60 custom shot 63 pickups in it, so fairly low output.
Right.
So in comparison to that, I guess it should be less drivey already and less volume. But
It's just as loud, isn't it?
But it's a Strat, so it's bitey.
Yeah, it's certainly. Right, okay, so.
I'll play similar riffs again, just so we've got reference points.
Yes, I'm kind of thinking next time it would probably help not to have it on both sides, so then you can read what it is as well.
Yeah, right, I'm reading the wrong thing, am I?
Yeah, don't you read it. Right,
Should we start at number 1 again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is this one here.
Cool. That's that one.
Yeah.
It's much bitier with the Strat now, isn't it?
It is,
even more so, which is obvious. But... 2? Yeah, I'm getting more like, it's like harmonics almost through that one.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
I think. So just, if you guys are kind of geeking out on stuff like this, you may see the frequency response plots that Celestion and other makers have on their websites. Now, I haven't got into discussion with Celestion about how they do those frequency response plots, but there's basically 2 different ways you can do it.
Right.
One is to stick pink noise through it, so that's constant signal across all the frequencies, and then you measure the result.
Yeah.
Yeah? The other way to do it is you put a chirp through it, so that goes
Yeah.
and the computer tracks what's coming from the chirp. It's sort of corresponding it. Now, if you do a chirp and it only reads the output at a given frequency at that moment, it's giving you the true frequency response. But if you do the pink noise, if you put a bunch of, say, 100 hertz signal into it, and that speaker generates a load of distortion, harmonic distortion, it will generate distortion at the multiples of that. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and so on.
Yeah.
And they will contribute to the frequency response plot, but it won't be telling you the frequency response necessarily. It'll also be telling you the generated harmonics.
Okay, right.
And because guitar speakers are not very clean things, there are a lot of overtones that are generated by the speaker's own inherent distortion. So sometimes you will be hearing the difference in 2 things will be a dip or a peak in frequency response, but sometimes you'll be hearing that in a certain range it is generating extra harmonics and changing the tone. So I think when you hear more distortion, it could be either actually, because it depends on the character of the distortion, but that definitely seems to bring through something in the low treble, upper mid, that's talky.
I want to play loads of solos through that one.
Right, yeah. What's that? Just doesn't speak as much, but God, I love that with the rhythm stuff.
That's a riffy
really
cab,
cool.
isn't it?
That sounds more modern, but not necessarily in a good way.
Sure.
You're playing a Strat now, so we had a chap in earlier, which is why we're sort of running out of time to make videos, by the name of Martin Barr. You may have heard of him. Even if you haven't heard of him, you've heard him. And he was playing a lovely guitar, which was a twin humbucker PRS. Did you see it?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, it's a really nice guitar.
Okay.
He's a very good guitarist. He's playing through a Soldano 100-watt amp.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And he was trying basically looking for some stuff that's flyable for his South American tours. So he hates 4x12s. We understand why he does that, because they are acoustically annoying.
Yep.
And that's a man who's used to big stages. And he likes the Redback a lot. So he's going with the Redback because
One
the
of these Redbacks.
a single Redback in a 112,
Right.
because that can handle the Soldano 100 watt. And he'll
Yeah, of
probably
course
have
it
one
can.
at the back and one at the front, because he doesn't like going through the monitors.
Okay.
And,
that's interesting.
But that, you see, the PRS is more like
Of course it is.
the Les Paul. It's the twin humbucker
It's
thing.
not quite as bitey.
So yeah, exactly. It's not got that
Yeah.
you know, that single coil narrow aperture where it picks up the pitch. Yeah, that's cool. That's really interesting. Let's go back to the Redback M.
Yeah.
'Cause I think that likes that.
That's Smashing Pumpkins straight away. Isn't
Right. Interesting.
I like that one though now.
It's nice, isn't it?
Are we on number 1?
We're on 2 at the moment.
Can we get to number 1?
Yeah. Something I wanted to say. Are you noticing how much louder that one is than that one?
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
So that's 100 dB sensitivity, same as the V30s and everything else and the Redback. That's 97 dB, simply because that's got a smaller magnet. Hence it's the M for medium magnet, and that's the H for heavy magnet.
Is that why they called that, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that should be
that's lighter. It's a less heavy cab, but who cares? Because they're light anyway.
Well, yes, and that should be the same volume as these then. It's just that one that's quieter, right?
Exactly,
That one won't be louder than the 150.
No, the 150 handles more power, but it doesn't. It'll also go louder if you have more amp to push in it. But I mean, who's using more than? It's a 212. Because these have the 60 watt V30 in the bottom, they're all like maximum power 120 watts because you double the power of the lowest speaker for a 2x12's power rating.
Whatever you put in it.
Just so you guys know, if you've got this far, we're recording this with a room mic up there, which is a Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. So it's straight on the top of the camera. It's essentially nearest damn it flat response when you figure in the sort of polar response as well. There's a slight presence peak, but once you're off axis as we are.
Yeah.
And so this is not getting in the line of sight between the speaker and the mic, if you're worrying about that. I'm trying to keep it down here. And these are our AVD cabs. They aren't hard against the wall. They're, what 4 inches away, 5 inches away?
Yeah, a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But 8.
That's man measurements. It's 8 inches. Yeah, they. So the AVD on the back of these is going to be spreading sound around the room. They've got this thing, which I think we've got a long enough lead so I can just
should do now.
twiddle it around. There we go. So, voila. I might just unplug that so I can wave to you. Look! 2x12. 2x12 with the heaviest speakers in it that Celestion make, and it's still. Let's use the.
Is it pinkyable?
Oh, come on!
Got it. Come on.
It's definitely index finger.
Okay, fine.
Is it? Come on.
I mean,
No, it's beyond. It's beyond.
I think that's
beyond the
fair
little
enough.
finger. But there we go.
I had to move an orange cab the other day, and I had to get my mate to help me in the studio. It was so heavy. So we're not in that row at least. Should we clean up for a second?
Yes.
Yeah. Just for a last little one.
Right. We are in the number 2 at the moment. Where should we start?
Should we V30 for reference?
Yeah. So clean sound through the V30. So let me get my V30 piece of wood.
Yeah, right.
nice, isn't it?
It's not as bright now.
It's
clean.
not as bright.
Nowhere near.
It's thicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why
It's
that.
got this weight to it.
Got any idea why that is? I mean, it's bright. It's a bright sound. Don't get me wrong.
It's still bright and clear, but it's
not.
It's maybe not as much
It's not 325.
mid-range. Yeah, maybe it's a little scoop sounding in comparison.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a little scoop, but I like it.
I like it too.
I'm quite excited about this Redback because having heard Martin play through it this morning and,
Yeah.
and Lewie now so Martin's was in 112s and this is like in conjunction with the V30, and if you want to use a 100-watt head,
Yeah.
and be confident that you're not going to toast your speaker,
Yeah.
there aren't a lot of choices. The Redback is one of the few speakers that's single 12s for guitar that's rated at over 100 watts.
Right.
And it sounds really good.
Yeah.
So guys, you can downsize. If you like the sound of your head, but you don't need the loudness of a 212 or a 412,
That's the point. Yeah.
you can go to a 112, and we can make you one as wide as your head. We have a model that's that size,
Yeah.
you know, with a single Redback in.
Right,
And it's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
expensive for a 1x12, but it's
Of course.
really small and light. It'll sound great. It won't
Yeah.
overpower everyone. It'll fill the room nicely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that Redback, it sounds really good, which is a delight because
Yeah.
I assumed it wouldn't sound quite as good as it does.
Yeah. I thought it'd be too thin for me, but that's just nice.
Yeah.
So much difference between those two.
There is not on the clean sound.
Not clean at all.
That's a little louder.
Yeah.
Little more character, I felt. Little
Yeah.
more dirty.
Yeah, I agree. That felt.
It almost feels like that sounds a bit more like that, bizarrely,
Go between them.
but with less top end. Okay, play that
Alright.
one. It's confusing, but
You're right. Those days are similar now.
Yeah.
This has made such a big change between clean and dirty. It's crazy.
yeah,
So I guess that's the thing to consider. What are you playing? Like,
Yeah.
That's why we started heavy and now clean.
yeah.
I
And
wouldn't have gone for that having heard it through the overdrive-driven sound, but now having heard it through the clean, I'd be like, oh, maybe it is nice for
yeah.
which is where I live. So like,
Well, and also what I found quite interesting is with the humbuckered guitar, humbuckered mahogany set neck, shorter scale, that sounded really good with the dirty sounds.
yeah,
So
that's a bit much on the Strat.
it
with
is a context thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. I think we've learned something.
I think so. We learned
Hopefully
quite a
you
bit.
have. There are basically infinite possibilities, aren't there?
Yeah, of
Because
course, yeah.
we can do. We've got vertical 212s. We've got horizontal 212s. You can have double ABDs and a horizontal 212. Obviously, there's 112. So with the 112s, there's what 20 or so different speakers that we offer.
Is that what it is?
That's
Is it?
how many about
I mean,
how.
it's still quite a lot of choice.
Yeah,
for one
but then the
driver alone.
212s, you've got what's
How much is that? It's
How
not
many
40. It's not 40
combinations is
choices,
that?
is it? Or is it?
is it 20
It's like-
times 20?
No, it's not that many.
There can't be 400 combinations.
It's 40. It's got like 42 because you can have one with each.
But you can have top and bottom, and then there's a lot. We're not going. If we're still here in 20 years doing this, we might have made videos with all of them. But by
Maybe.
that point, we'll think we've done them all, and then Celestion will discontinue things. or
Basically,
launch
there's
things.
something for you.
Yeah.
Essentially, is the message, right?
Yeah,
There will be a combination of something. that
that's
you
cool. But tell us what you'd like to hear more of.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
just going to keep going with all the stuff we have, and we'll
Yeah.
keep noting the responses. And part of this is driven by what happens to be coming out of the factory and is about to head to other people.
Yeah.
Like I say, the changes you were hearing between these, if you want them to sound more like this one, but you like the colours these are adding, then have those speakers at the bottom rather than the top. If you like what you're hearing from these, have that speaker at the top.
Yeah, simple as.
That's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And bear in mind, if you're recording, you've got 2 different speakers in it, or you're gigging,
Close
and
mic.
you're mic'd, just tell the engineer which one you want them to mic.
I do that all the time. I've got my nice one in the top. I'm like, they mic the bottom. I'm like, can I get a longer stand, please?
That's true.
They do give me funny looks.
It may also be the case, and I don't know if you've ever found this, that you find one speaker is better for you to be hearing on stage, and the other speaker sounds better out through the PA. So you've got your more practical sound that cuts through the mix and lets you hear the details of what you're doing, which could be a V30.
Yeah,
because a V30 is not the prettiest driver, but it's very honest, clear.
In a mix.
And then you could have a sweeter one
For me on
that's going out front.
Oh, for the other way around.
Yeah.
That's most likely true, actually. I've never.
So you
I've
have
never thought
something
about
really
it.
responsive, so you can hear what your fingers are doing,
Yeah.
as like your monitor, and the other one that gets mic'd front of house.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the future.
Maybe that's it.
I've had an idea. Great, thank you.
Cool.
We've been Alex and Lewie from Barefaced, and we are signing off now before we reach the full half hour. Thank you. Tell us what you hear more of. What do you really And what's that thing they do? Like and subscribe. Rock on.